I often get requests to make a video about my skincare routine and how I take care of my skin, and for the longest time I didn't make a video about it. But today is the day, and I'm going to share with you my healthy skincare habits and my tips for clear and glowing skin. I want to start this video by being very upfront and honest with you about something, because yes, I do have a lot to share when it comes to the things that I do to take care of my skin. But I also want to say that I'm just very lucky and I have very easy skin. My skin is pretty clear by itself. I hardly ever break out. I did used to have quite a bit of acne when I was younger, when I was going through puberty, but lately I hardly even get a zit anymore. And the only thing with my skin is that it tends to get a little dry, especially in the winter time, so that is something that I do need to take into account. But other than that, I'm just really lucky to have easy to manage skin, and it's not really a big issue for me. However, I do realize that there are definitely some healthy skincare habits that I have been doing consistently that have helped with my complexion. And I started taking better care of my skin in my early 20s, and these habits are really starting to pay off now that I am in my early 30s. So I'm going to share all of that with you today. I also want to quickly say that I'm not going to go too much in depth about the products that I use. First of all, because they work for me, they might not work for you. Second is that the products that I use are only available here in the Netherlands, so it wouldn't make much sense to share them. But most importantly, I feel that if we want to have healthy looking skin, the best thing that we can do for it is not to buy expensive products and lotions, but to take really good care of it from the inside out. And I'm happy to say that this video is sponsored by my friends over at Native. More on them later, but for now let's begin with my tips for clear and glowing skin. Our skin is our biggest organ, and it gets affected by the things we put into our body and onto our skin. So keeping our skin hydrated for a very large part comes from the inside out. When it comes to hydration, there are many people who are sharing different quick fixes or wonder solutions to help with our complexion. Maybe certain teas or detoxing drinks or celery juices or vitamin supplements. But I'm sorry, I personally do not believe in any of these magical solutions. I think it comes down to what we are doing overall and how much liquids we are drinking in a day. Many of you probably don't know this, but I actually graduated as a dietitian, and during my studies we learned that we can drink fluids in all kinds of different ways. Water, tea, fruit juice, soups, even the fruit we eat, they all add up. But of course it is healthier to stay away from sugary drinks. I had to teach myself basically to drink enough because I definitely wasn't. And once I started doing that, I did notice a huge impact on my skin. It is much less dry now, much better hydrated, and I basically drink water all day, every day now. And I noticed all kinds of other benefits also that didn't have anything to do with my skin. Not gonna go into that in a video here, but let's just say that it has been a game changer for me, something as simple as drinking more water. Now let's talk food. I think a lot of us know, or most of us know, how important food is for a number of things, including our skin. And just like with staying hydrated, I personally do not believe that there's any specific wonder solution for our skin. When it comes to nutrients, I think some are more important than others maybe, like vitamin C or zinc, but it is more about the overall balance. Now, when it comes to a healthy diet, there's really no one-size-fits-all solution. I personally am vegan, and I did find that cutting dairy specifically did have a really good impact on my skin, but you can eat a healthy diet in so many different ways. So I try to eat a varied diet, lots of fruits and veggies from different colors because different colored foods contain different nutrients. I also try to eat lots of fiber, lots of healthy fats, and plant-based protein sources. I also learned about the importance of omega-3 fatty acids for our skin because they help to prevent inflammation and premature aging. And since I'm vegan, I make sure to get them through things like chia seeds, flax seeds, and walnuts. My diet certainly is not perfect, and I will eat junk food every now and then, or cookies or cakes or chocolate, all these things. And I always notice it on my skin when I have been eating more processed foods than usual, or really fatty, oily foods, or foods with a lot of added sugar in them. So they are not part of my everyday diet anymore. Now that I'm becoming a bit older, I'm 32, I am starting to notice just really tiny wrinkles and changes in my skin, especially around my eyes. But sometimes my friends will ask me, like, why do you not have so many signs of aging in your face yet? And I think I'm not a dermatologist, so I don't know the specifics of it, but I think one reason is definitely that I don't smoke. Second reason is that I don't sunbathe and I always wear a sunblock, which is something we'll talk about more later. But I also think that one of the reasons is that ever since my early 20s, I significantly reduced the amount of added sugar in my diet. This was when I started my studies for nutrition, and I found out that sugar can actually cause more wrinkles by making the collagen in our skin less elastic. So that was yet another reason for me to cut things like cookies and candies and ice cream from my regular diet, because I used to eat them a lot back then. And now I save them for the occasional treat, and even then I prefer to make them myself, so I know exactly what goes into them. Before we continue, a quick break for today's sponsor, Native. I'm really happy to be partnering up with them again, so big thanks to Native for supporting the channel. I've completely switched over to natural deodorants a few years ago, and I have been using Native deodorants for about 6-7 months now. And honestly, I don't want to go back. They are the best I've ever tried, and they are the only ones that really do a great job in keeping me fresh all day, even after being on the go. They have many different scents, and I'm actually still going through the last 3-pack that they sent me because they really last a long time. And back then I chose cactus flower poppy, eucalyptus mint, and sweet peach and nectar. And right now I'm really into the cactus flower poppy because I feel like it is such a fresh, flowery scent, and it kind of reminds me of the smell of fresh, clean laundry, which is one of the best smells in the world. I also find that they are not sticky, they dry quickly, and they are free from aluminum, parabens, and sulfate. And I use recognizable ingredients like coconut oil and shea butter. And of course, they are vegan and cruelty-free, which is always something I look for in a deodorant. So if you'd like to try for yourself, you can save 33% on your first Native pack plus free shipping if you use this code displayed right here, and the link is in the description. When I don't sleep enough, it immediately shows on my skin, and I feel like my complexion gets a little bit more dull and I just look tired. So if I want my skin to have that healthy glow, the number one thing for me anyway is sleep. When we sleep, our skin can start to repair itself from the damages and the sun exposure of the day. It also rebuilds the collagen in our skin, which is very important. And it can also help to lower the stress hormones in our blood levels that can also be harmful for the skin. More on that later, so it is just very important. I started making sleep more of a priority in my life, also in my early 20s, not so much for my skin necessarily, but more for just my overall physical and mental health. And I am just the type of person who needs a lot of sleep, and if I don't make sure to get it, I will pay the price for it in one way or another. So I always try to go to bed on time and get my 8 hours. Another thing that can have a big impact on our skin is stress. And just like with a lack of sleep, I find that if I'm really stressed, my complexion can get a little dull and kind of grayish looking. But actually with stress, I can get breakouts and I can get irritations, especially around the area of my nose and mouth, because this area tends to get a little oily. Now, stress is a little bit of a tricky subject, I always find, because most of us experience stress, sometimes little bits, sometimes we experience more, and it is not so easily controllable. We cannot just toggle the switch off and be done with it and not be stressed anymore, especially if it is being caused by outside circumstances. But I do find that there are things that we can do to manage our stress better and also to just reduce the overall stress levels of our daily life. And I actually have a video dedicated to this topic, so I will leave a link to that video in the description box below for anyone who's interested in reducing stress in their life. I remember a few years ago and I met this woman, and she was a dermatologist, and basically from the second she looked at me, she came to me and she asked me, "Are you wearing sunscreen? Are you protecting your skin from the sun?" And it was kind of funny because we just met, but she was right, and it is very important to wear sunblock and protect our skin, not just if you have a fair complexion like me, but for everyone. I think most of us know the importance of sunscreen and the fact that sun damage can age our skin and even cause serious health problems if we're not protecting our skin well. But I also think that a lot of people don't really take it that seriously. And probably that's because it takes a long time. It takes years and years for sun damage to show on our skin. And even for me, I only started doing it regularly, applying sunscreen, in my later 20s. Before that, I was still trying to make my skin look more tan, especially in the summer, and if I wear sunscreen, that's just not something that's gonna happen. Actually, it's not really gonna happen if I don't wear sunscreen either, because it's just not something that my skin does. But for example, I would go to play tennis and not wear sunscreen on purpose. Very bad habit, and now that I've accepted the fact that my skin just does not get a pretty tan, I make sure to protect it well and use sunscreen. And I also try to stay out of the sun when it is really strong, so I will stay in the shade as much as possible. And I also just do not go tanning or use a tanning bed and things like that. This is something that I used to skip so often, and I am very much a morning person, so I wake up early, and then by the time I go to bed, I am usually one blink away from falling asleep standing up. So when I was younger and I would go to bed really tired, I would just not take off my makeup, and then the next morning I would wake up and there would be like mascara on my chin, and I would just do a quick touch up and then wear yesterday's makeup. So it is not something that I'm proud of, but I did do it, and sometimes I did it like 3-4 days in a row, until I got really irritated skin around my eyes, and I could no longer deny that that was because I wasn't cleaning my face. So I made the rule for myself never to go to bed without cleaning my face, and that is something that I have been doing for the last 10 years or so, and it really makes a world of difference. I just use a very simple makeup remover and then a cleanser. We do need to clean our skin, and I don't think we need expensive products for that. All I have is just a very simple makeup remover for days I wear makeup, and then a cleanser, a moisturizer, and a sunscreen. And again, this is what works for me, but if you are using a skincare product that you love, absolutely keep using it. Now let's talk about exercise. I used to be someone who really hated exercising, was not good at it, would never be able to enjoy it. And then luckily in my early 20s, I had some positive experiences, and I found out that exercising can actually be really wonderful. Of course, we know exercising is very important for a number of things, but it can also actually help us with our complexion. First of all, it improves blood circulation, bringing more oxygen to our skin. It can also help to build more collagen and promotes the production of new skin cells, and it can also decrease the stress hormones that are causing skin problems. We all exercise in different ways, and for me, I find that it always changes every few years or so. And right now I'm doing regular yoga. I'm also walking a lot, and I'm playing tennis if the weather permits, maybe once or twice a week, and that works for me. And I recommend trying to find something that works for you instead of trying to do what you think you should do, because otherwise it can be really hard to make exercising and moving a part of our daily lifestyle. Lastly, I want to talk about something that maybe is the most important thing of all, and that is self-acceptance. I don't think that there is any such thing as perfect skin, and I don't think that we need to strive for that. I think as much as we can try to take good care of ourselves and have a healthy lifestyle, there are going to be moments when we're not doing such a good job, or maybe our skin gets irritated or breaks out, or maybe you have skin issues. Those things can happen, and I don't think that we need to strive for flawless skin, because that doesn't exist. All we can do is try to take care of ourselves the best way we can and get our skin to look as good as it can look. Now maybe you feel that this is easy for me to talk about because I have very easy skin and I don't have many issues, and I acknowledge that. But I also used to have quite a bit of insecurities. I get a lot of freckles in the summer that used to bug me a little, especially on my upper lip. I also have quite a lot of beauty marks, not so much on my face, but definitely on my body, and I was very insecure about that. I also have really thin skin underneath my eyes, and so I get like dark circles pretty easily. I was very insecure about that, especially in high school. And then lastly, it took me years to accept my really super pale complexion and the fact that I just cannot get a tan no matter what I do. Whatever your skin is like, confidence is what makes us shine the most. It is corny, but very true. So do what you can to take good care of yourself and to improve your skin as much as you can, but also try to accept and honor the things that you can't change, the things that make you you and that make you beautiful the way you are. If you've enjoyed the video, please leave a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel down below. I really appreciate it. Right here I have healthy morning habits. Right here I have healthy evening habits. And as always, questions, comments, conversations down below. Have a wonderful day, my friends, and I'll see you next week. Bye bye!